Welcome to Real Estate for Real, the podcast where we keep it real about buying, selling, and financing your properties at the realest level, for real. I'm your co-host, the man with the questions, Keith B. Dixon. And now, your host, top producer in the San Francisco Bay Area, and real estate agent, Carrie Naslin Monday.
Hey, it's Carrie Naslin Monday coming to you from Oakland, California, the nation's hottest real estate market. And first of all, Keith's here with me as usual.
Hey.
Keith, I want to talk about our friends in Quebec.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Holy moly!
And they're listening all the way through 100%. It's amazing.
I love it. And I also want to give a big thank you to our Spotify listeners. You are beating the pants off of the Apple listeners. I can tell you that.
I know, and I'm an Apple guy too, so.
Me too. Well,
wow.
Not a guy, but
yeah,
you know.
Hey.
So, Keith, today we have a special guest who I love dearly. He is pretty much owning Alameda, California. Alameda is an island. Did you know that we've got an island in the East Bay?
Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't think that.
We do. We have a real island. It'll come in handy for the zombie apocalypse. But we've got Guy Blume who does a killer business over here. Hey, Guy.
Hey, how's it going, eh? That's for our Quebec listeners.
There you go. I love it.
I spent a year, my freshman year of high school in British Columbia. So, I got my fill of all the Canadian etiquette.
And the loonies and the toonies.
No, they were great. I loved Canada. I always thought, someday I'm going to move back here and marry a nice Canadian woman. Because they're just so sweet. They grow them sweet up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Guy, today I brought you in because I want to talk a little bit about life before real estate. I mean, we all came from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And statistically, real estate is not a first profession. It's usually a second, a third, a fourth, or possibly even a fifth for folks. And so I brought you in because you have a colorful past, and as do I.
Indeed.
But I just wanted to talk about that and the type of people that do come into real estate, because it really is all walks of lives, all the lives that make it into real estate. And it's not a cookie cutter, one fits all type person that ends up in these shoes. So I've been a serial entrepreneur since the age 5. I was selling pet rocks to the neighborhood. I was going around at Christmas time singing Christmas carols, not for the joy of the spirit of the season, but to make some cash and candy, sometimes cookies. So that took me through to my first job when I was 14. When I was 14, I started off hostessing at a restaurant, and that I truly believe restaurant business has given me a lot to work with when it comes to dealing with public, dealing with people, handling, multitasking.
It's one of the toughest businesses out there.
I agree.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree 100%. So I started there, but I always had multiple jobs because I'm never content just to have one. So I did some telemarketing back in the day. I was calling folks, inviting them down to a local gym for a guy. His name is Steele Morris.
Steele, how you doing? I'm Steele Morris. Glad to meet you.
I thought it was perfect. And then I did a lot of donation collection. But I think the real true past life was 20 years working at a tattoo shop.
You must have met some very interesting people.
I met some amazing people. I've pierced rock stars. So I was the body piercer. That was my role for 20 years. That's a lot of stabbing, a lot of holes.
What was your most memorable stabbing?
Well, people used to ask me that at the shop all the time, and it's a lot of business as usual, even when some of the more famous folks would come in. But I can safely say that the ones that stick out in my mind and will remain with me forever are you're not business as usual. So when people would come in and have unusual body parts or missing body parts. So there was a gentleman that came in that had an undeveloped arm that with these little finger nubbies coming out of it. He got those pierced.
Wow.
Okay, so I was thinking of like Theron Greyjoy. Like,
Right.
like, well, what's left to pierce?
Right.
Well, I have pierced all sorts of things, including the unmentionables. I will say that male to female transition junk comes out way better than female to male.
Really?
I know this intimately. I mean, you know, front and center when you're piercing it.
Right.
There's some stuff that was extremely passable, you know, because you would imagine that if you were transitioning that someone would go for the porn star vagina.
Right.
No. They go for straight up housewife, and that's what passes.
Wow.
Yeah. But I feel like that actually gave me the biggest amount of, I'm not going to say courage, but just ability to deal with people's fears, which is something that we deal with every single day in real estate.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, people are dealing with one of the more stressful things they're going to do in their life besides death, marriage, and divorce is buying a house. And so dealing with people that were facing a fearful situation, which it was pretty rare to have someone come in and not have some kind of fear around whatever body modification they were about to enjoy. But dealing with that, I think, set me up with a lot of skills that I carry through into my real estate business and being able to just talk people off the ledge, help them focus on what the real goal is, and let them know that, you know, pain is only temporary, whether that's stress, whether that's physical pain, whether that's confusion, it's all temporary, right?
Carrie, only you could have pulled that off. We're talking about the frontal piercing, and then you just inject the word fear. And when I think about buying anything as big as a home, it is definitely a fear factor. Oh
Absolutely.
my God, can I make the payment? Do I have the credit? What's going to pop out?
What if I lose my
What
job?
if I lose my job?
You know, what if I have to move? Yeah, there's a lot of heavy decisions for sure.
Yeah, and they're all valid. They're all valid, but you got to work through them, and you can't let that fear freeze you to the point that you don't take action. You know, sometimes you got to get a little uncomfortable before you can see some sweetness. So.
Yes.
So beyond the tattoo shop life for 20 years, I have also graced many of the stages in the Bay Area, the major stages, both as a professional belly dancer and also a professional burlesque dancer.
Oh, how revealing.
Wow.
Hey.
But that's
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is colorful. Yeah, I might be able to comment on some of that. In
I would
fact,
love to hear
maybe
it.
I know you from a previous career. I don't know.
Hey. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Wait, what?
Oh God, well that's great. Yeah, well I can see how you've developed into the fantastic salesperson that you are today. In seeing the different jobs that you've had, how it's culminated to create the thick skin, the people skills, being able to work with people and help them and relate to them and assure them that everything is going to be okay.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't even call myself a salesperson. I'm just a people person.
People person, yeah.
Yeah.
That's providing a service. Yeah, no, that's funny you should say that, because the whole reason I got into real estate was through my mother-in-law, who I was in the golf business at that particular time, and she had said, well, you know, you should really get your real estate license. This is 2006, and when the market was still good. before the crash. And she said, yeah, you should, you're on the golf course a lot, having a lot of conversations. You like to talk. You should probably get your real estate license and, sell some homes. And I said, sales? Oh, God, why on earth would I ever want to be a salesperson? She said, oh, no. You're not selling. You're helping people. And that's all that it took for me. Yeah. So what I thought when my mind was like, ooh, salespeople are icky, to us like, oh, I didn't realize that what I'm doing is providing a valuable service to help people get what they want when they want it.
Right.
So that's, without making mistakes.
I've made a lot of mistakes. If I could go back,
helping them not to make mistakes.
Help it, yeah. Helping them, yeah. Well, there's so many mistakes
doula,
to
not
make.
them. Yeah.
There's so many mistakes to be had, and I've learned a lot of those mistakes the hard way. Not just in my own real estate transactions, but when I was the first brand new agent.
Sure.
Oh man, I wish I could go back to those first few buyers and just apologize and say, I'm sorry. Yeah. I could have gotten you a better deal.
You can,
I could have
probably.
gotten you this. I could have gotten you that. I didn't know.
They would probably respect you for that. But fail forward, right?
Fail forward fast.
Yeah.
That's right.
Reminds me of my first photography job. So I went from one industry into basically artistry. And I can remember, and it was actually at a real estate firm. So I was doing some portraits, and they were horrible, to say the least. And so I shot through the job, and I can remember the only client that stuck with me, she stayed for maybe 10 years until she just completely got out of real estate. But when I look back on those photographs, they were horrible. So I want to go back and say,
we all had to start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to.
This
start
is how
somewhere.
we learn.
Yeah.
Yay.
So yeah.
So Guy, tell us more about your past.
Let's see. Well, I was born a poor black child.
No, you were not.
just like Steve Martin from The Jerk. Did you get that reference?
Totally.
It's just so wacky. So like Steve Martin, I too have a little wacky side, which has led me down a very interesting path of accomplishments and failures. My first work experience was taking a bunch of Evel Knievel T-shirts, because my uncle was just a master marketing person. He was the marketing person for Evel Knievel. He did the first Star Wars trilogy for all the T-shirts and the posters.
Oh, man.
Baller. Wow. Right? Baller.
Let's go raid his garage.
Oh, it's just nuts. So yeah, he's retired and obviously, and he's in the process of moving to Portugal and Spain because he can. Yeah.
Do that.
So
right.
So he gave, when he made all of these. Remember when Evel Knievel jumped the Snake River, or tried to? Do you remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I had all of these T-shirts, right? And pretty hokey by today's standards, but I got a box of these, and I'm like, I'm gonna sell them. I'm gonna go sell them. So I set up a shop on a corner selling my uncle's T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my first experience. And then the cops saw me, and then they told me to pack up and go home.
Where is this?
This was in San Mateo, California. So it's on the peninsula in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have a little corner setup, pop up.
No lemonade stand, no fruit stand, nope, none of that. They're like, "Do you have a permit?" I'm like, I'm like 8.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's a permit? I'm just, and here's the funny thing. I was so unconsciously incompetent that the only reason why I was selling these shirts was to get money, of course, but I was selling them for 50 cents and $1 just so I could get 50-cent pieces and silver dollars. I didn't realize that you could just go to the bank and ask for them.
Wow.
So at the end of the day, I'm like, oh man, I didn't get any 50-cent pieces or silver dollars. So that was a hard lesson. Learn to be purposeful and know what you want before you go out and get it.
So you went to Sarah High School?
I did, yeah, San Mateo. Yeah.
And so you grew up in San Mateo? I went to Westmore High School.
I did.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, just about. I mean, I went to Sarah for my sophomore, junior, senior year. My freshman year, I went to Canada. I was in Cranbrook, British Columbia. Hey, Quebec. How's it going, eh? And so we would drink some Kokanee beer. That's like the Budweiser of BC, Kokanee. I guess, or Canada, Kokanee. So we had Kokanee in the bush. They wouldn't have me coming from California, they'd say, "So do you have a lot of beach parties?" I'm like, "I'm not on the beach," And I said, "So what do you guys do?" And like, "Oh, well, we have bush parties."
Wow.
I thought, bush parties? Tell me about that. Oh, well, we'll go into the forest and drink beers. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So that's what we did my freshman year of high school in British Columbia. Came back, went to Sarah. From there, graduated, went to San Francisco State University, focused on radio, TV, music, and got into sports broadcasting, did some of the Jumbotron shows for the Warriors and the Giants when they were at Candlestick. And then also the 49ers as well. And sports broadcasting even before that, I guess I should back up. I went to work. This is like before the internet. Do you remember what life was like before our smartphones and computers and email and stuff?
I'm so glad I grew up before the internet. I mean, it's like, I don't want to have those active records of of what I did.
Right. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh,
kids these days are, what they do at the age of 12 really will affect them at the age of 40 because it doesn't go away.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And so, I remember hearing about, the World Wide Web. And, I was working at a company, a computer store, and people were leaving the computer store to go work for Cisco. And I'm like, what's Cisco?
Right.
Oh, they make parts for the internet. I'm like, okay, so where's this all going? This is before everybody, we were still on dial-up modem, right?
Sure. AOL stuff.
AOL and,
you got mail.
Yeah. So
that was amazing back then.
All of that. And so that's where we were moving from analog to digital video. So I, became like a little self-contained videographer, editor, producer, director. And, so after the computer gig, got into the whole video thing and made it as a freelancer. And, I got this call one day from an old college female friend, shall we say. And she said, "Hey, are you still doing video?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, well, would you be interested in like a producer, director, videographer, editor, position?" I'm like, "Sure. Doing what?" And she said, "Working at the O'Farrell Theater in San Francisco."
Brown chicka bow wow.
Mitchell Brothers.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Who's put out such favorites as Behind the Green Door, The Devil and Miss Jones.
Yeah. Yes. Wow.
And so my job was to videotape these lovelies doing their performance on stage, and then I would edit it, I would light it, photograph it, video it, direct it, edit it, and make these digitized clips.
You sound like me now.
And put it up on the internet.
Yeah.
And at times I would be interviewing these gorgeous ladies without any clothes on, and I had to really dive deep into my person to maintain every possible muscle to keep my eyes locked on their eyes and stay focused.
Yes.
Stay
I can
focused.
imagine.
Don't look down. Don't look down. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Oh my God.
And so that's where I think that's when I became a really good listener.
Wow.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
If I look down, then that would make them nervous, right? So that was interesting. And so from there, sports broadcasting and then the broadcasting thing. Then the internet came in, and I went into digital production, handling media assets for Sony Productions and Intuit and Disney Pictures, getting all of their stuff online. And I'll never forget it. There was when Spider-Man came out, there was this a movie trailer where he spun a web between the Twin Towers in New York, right when 9/11 hit. And it was my job to get those assets off of the media servers worldwide, because nobody wanted to see that movie trailer anymore. So it was just one of those fire drill moments.
Wow.
And man, I'll just never forget it. And working with these C-level clients, very demanding clients, has kind of helped me prepare for working with a variety of clients here in real estate. So now I feel very comfortable in working with totally naked clients all the way up to C-level executives.
Because that happens.
So I've got everything. Oh yeah, all the time, right? So now I've got. I think it's between all of that and the golf career and the teaching and I got into golf because I went from .com to .bomb, right, when the market imploded. So all these different experiences has really led up to being able to communicate and work with people from all walks of life in casual and very professional settings.
Okay, so that prompts a question for me. Education is really important. Obviously, we all of us went to college, but and we have colorful backgrounds. I was actually a bus driver at one point. I drove for the San Francisco Municipal Railway. But if I was thinking about becoming a realtor, would education be important if I had a color? Because let's just say I had a colorful past, right? But no education. How important is that in what you guys do?
Yeah, that's a great question.
There's several super high producing mega agents out there who have nothing more than a high school degree, and they're doing amazing businesses. And I think that this is the one business that you don't have to come into with college debt.
That's a good point, Carrie.
Which is awesome.
I like that, college debt.
Well, that's how the youth of today are entering the real world. They're adulting hard so they can pay off debt, and that's a sad way to jump in. So I know that there's a lot of people that have master's degrees and even doctorates that have made the transition into real estate as well, and that serves them also. But real estate is an all-encompassing career that is available to almost anyone in every walk of life, as long as they're not a felon.
Yeah.
And as long as they're honest people and motivated.
Yeah, definitely.
And willing to do the work, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Carrie. I will take experience over education just about every time. It's the experience that helps you do the day-to-day. You can learn everything you can about real estate from a book, but that's not going to get you up every day to have the number of conversations to drive you to make you do what it takes to actually do the work, which results in getting paid for it.
And success.
Yeah, you said you have to be driven, right? You gotta. I mean, if you're not driven as a realtor, or any
in life,
driven life, yeah. I mean, it's just, what do you hope to get if you're not willing to get out there and do it and do the thing, right? Yeah. You're never going to have the thing unless you do the thing, and a lot of people have trouble doing the thing. They need a boss to tell them what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Right, that's probably the best thing about real estate, right? The best thing about being a real estate agent is I have no boss.
Yeah.
Right.
The worst thing about being a real estate agent is I have no boss.
Exactly.
Wow.
Or you are your boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real interesting. That's a good perspective. I'm looking at the parallels here. So you guys definitely both referred back to childhood and that motivation to sell T-shirts or. And Carrie, you've talked about this, something similar. Do you think the ability to sell anything or be a people person is something that happens at childhood, or do you think it happens later on in life?
I think it makes it easier to do what we do if it is kind of born into us. But I've met several folks who didn't have that when they were younger, not necessarily because it wasn't in them, but more because they were told that they couldn't or never would make it. And so they kind of had it tough loved out of them.
Right.
And then they came back to it later. I think we all have some bit of organic entrepreneurial drive in us. That's what gets us up in the morning, right? If you're not, then you're just depressed or independently rich.
Yeah. And
Old money style.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. You know me, I got a million questions. So I got to throw one more at you guys.
Of course.
So we talk about education, and you guys said, motivation, desire, drive, all those words, I'm paraphrasing you, is important. But how do we do the numbers? How do we get the math? How do we navigate that if we don't have, good education?
Well, first, from a real estate sales background, you have to have the education, unless you're just naturally born with it, right? We've all talked to those people who just have the gift of gab, right? And they just know how to connect and speak with people and be in rapport with one another. After that, then it just becomes permission-based selling. So what is it that you're looking for? How can I help you? If you have a heart and you just naturally want to help people, selling is obviously a great avenue to do that. But here's the rub. You have to talk to a lot of people in order to help a lot of people, in order to make a living in this. And that's where most people fall short, when you say, Carrie, is that they just don't talk to enough people to be able to help enough people to get enough potential sales going.
Well, I think that they're stopped by the stigma that's out there that salespeople are irritating or bug people, and so they don't want to be that guy or that girl, that guy.
I get it. I don't want to be that guy.
But what they are not realizing is that they're not going out there and helping families or helping individuals to achieve their goals if they're not, quote, bugging them, which I don't see it as bugging at all. I see it's making sure that they know that you're there for them. And who doesn't want to know that there's people that are there for them? Right. That's all humans want. I mean, in this world of social media, we're getting further and further away from that because people don't want to step on each other's toes. And I think it becomes even more important that we raise our hand and say, hey, I'm here. Let me know what you need.
Carrie, you're on fire.
And that's a mindset thing. Yeah. I mean, what she's talking about is like pure mindset. And in order to get up in the morning and do what we do, we have to think about how are we going to help people today?
Yeah.
Right? If we go out there and think about, I'm going to sell a house today. Like, that doesn't work. You have to come from a place of gratitude and contribution and really believe that you're here to help someone with one of the largest financial assets that they'll ever make in their life. And if they choose the wrong person to help them, bummer.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to take care of this person the way I'm going to take care of that person. And they'd be crazy to work with anybody else. That's kind of how we have to, talk to ourselves in order to make it through this crazy business. Otherwise, we're just faced with rejection. No, I don't want your help. No thanks.
Yeah.
No, go away. No.
Right.
Okay. And then how often does that have to happen before you stop wanting to talk to people and start asking them if they want any help?
Right.
Right.
And I think that that's why most people don't last in this business for more than, 3 years.
It's too uncomfortable. Yeah. It's too uncomfortable to approach people and ask them, hey, can I help you? Which sounds weird, right? I mean, doesn't that seem like it would be a lot easier to just walk up and say, so how's it going? Boy, you look great today. What are you doing? Oh, I'm looking for a home. Oh, really?
How can I help?
Can I help you with that?
Yeah.
Seems like it would be easy, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
But it just goes right back to what you said earlier, Carrie, about dealing with people's fears.
Exactly.
And if I've had 5 different jobs and then real estate seemed like it was really appealing to me, I might discount myself because I don't have any real estate experience. But in a sense, you guys just pulled it all together by saying, Carrie talked about, hey, it helped me to get people to overcome my fears. Guy, hey, I was selling T-shirts as a kid, and the rejection actually came from the police telling you not to do it, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a big parallel there. And I think people should understand that just because they don't have that experience, or maybe they don't have the education, that they could still do it. So,
for sure. I think just to go back to one of your last questions, I don't think you necessarily have to be born with it. You just, in your heart, you just have to want to help people. Yeah, because that's really where it comes from. However, you have to 10x that. Yeah. Right. So you're just not helping one person. You need to help a lot of people.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then you surround yourself with the people who do have the experience. So you might only have life experience underneath your belt, getting you to, to first base, but what's going to get you to second and third and home is going to be surrounding yourself with people who are amazing. And I'm lucky.
I'm next to one of them.
I was about to say I'm lucky that I'm sitting next to a guy right now.
I beat you.
It's so good.
That's true. Well, we are the sum of the people we hang around.
Yeah.
Right? Boy, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Hanging around a bunch of hoodlums in grammar school and elementary school and high school. Holy criminy, I'm so happy that I am where I am today. I finally got rid of those guys.
Yeah, your parents were right, huh?
They were, yes, gosh darn it, they were right. My parents were so right. You don't want to hang around with that troublemaker. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Guy, I had wrote this question down, and I had to ask because your website is I Love Alameda.
Word.
And kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
You're from San Mateo, so are you a transplant by way of family? You just happened here, like?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I was living in San Mateo and then working at the golf course, and then oh my God, I totally forgot.
Tell us.
So when I was working in high tech, I was moonlighting as a lead singer in a 10-piece disco funk cover band.
How could you forget that?
I told you I had a colorful past, right? So if you can imagine me in red, white, and blue spandex and sequin vest with no shirt on, and
that's what you're wearing right now.
Blonde, yes, that's right. A blonde pompadour wig. It was like a blonde Elvis wig, and so I'm out there singing stuff like Casey and the Sunshine Band, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Wow. And I was at a wedding. I was the wedding singer, and who did I meet that night was my future wife, who was a last-minute guest at this wedding. And she was already living in Alameda, and I was in San Mateo. So what can I say? We hit it off, and we courted for a year, engaged. And then we were engaged for a year, and then we married. And I moved over here to Alameda to join her on the island, and I've been loving it ever since. And so my website, ilovealameda.com, is the truth. I love this island. I love the community. I love the people, the schools, the topography, the location, the views. I can't speak highly enough of our island city.
Nice.
Wow, that is an amazing story. It's almost like a double entendre statement. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been married? Give us the real quick backstory on family and
how that plays into real estate.
Oh my God. So married since 2004. Here's the crazy part. So when I was in high tech, I literally got laid off like 6 months after I met my wife.
Wow.
And so I was still in the band, and then I had gotten laid off so many times throughout my entire life. I mean, damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been laid off just about 20 jobs.
Wow. Area living, though, I feel like.
Golly, So I'm like, I think when I got laid off the last time, and I met my lovely wife, and I said, would you mind if I just like got a job at a golf course and just had a little bit of fun for a while, and maybe we could play some free golf and stuff? And God bless her, she said, okay.
Wow.
So then, for whatever reason, I got good at it and became the assistant pro, and got into the PGA apprenticeship program, and thought I was going to be a golf professional, and found out that they only make like $40,000 a year in the Bay Area. And I'm like, yeah, that ain't going to work. So
You can't even get a rental for that.
man, yeah, I can't imagine it. So I feel for all the people who, scream and rant about how expensive it is here, because there's no way I would have been able to do it.
Right.
So here's the thing: when I got into real estate, and I got laid off of the golf job. I mean, who gets laid off of a golf job, right?
Wow.
So management changes, right?
Right.
Same old story. Management change. We got to trim our bottom line. Might be thinking about selling. So went back to my wife, Marianne. I said, well, looks like I'm going to make a full run at this real estate thing, which means I'm not going to be here a lot, because I've got to pour myself into this 100%. I'm probably not going to be home. I'm going full immersion. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to become a student of the industry. I'm going to do whatever it takes to succeed. And that's really to be an entrepreneur or self-employed person. That is the mentality that you have to have. It's all or nothing. So, I burned the boats. I went to the new land and I burned the boats, and there was no going back, because this was it. I was now convinced that I had to be the master of my destiny. And if I was going to fail at this, I had no one to blame but myself. So I was all in. And fortunately, I had a wife with a good job to help carry me through it, because it was 2 years of ramen,
Agreed. My first 2 years was nada, no bueno.
Yeah.
Carrie, I remember when you started.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You didn't think I was going places.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Boy, did you prove me wrong.
You lost that bet.
It's like, oh my God. I remember, would you believe, I remember the first time I saw some advertising and an open house by you.
Oh, yeah?
I do. It was, you were like the short sale angel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it was like that
now we're going in
caricature.
the Wayback
No,
Machine.
yeah.
Character. It was a character of Carrie. And I remember, seeing it, and I'm like, so here's how wacky mindset is, right? So you start thinking about this, and this is how we judge people,
Yes.
without even knowing anything, right? So it's like, oh wow, she's got two-tone hair.
Oh, there we go.
She's like really different,
Yeah.
and she's got doing this whole investor thing going on. It's like it's just her whole angle is contrary to what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
I'm like,
Bird.
I don't even know what to think about that. I wonder if she's going to be successful.
Right.
Right. And look at you now. Right. I mean, now having gone through the business and getting to know you and see what you've done, and my confession is that I admired you from a distance for so long, because you were the one that stuck out.
Yeah.
Right. You were the one agent that stuck out, and I commend you on that.
Yeah, people never forget me, and I think that it is because I refused to conform and do it their way.
And it's interesting. We met that way. I was on the same page with you. I had seen thousands of realtors, and Carrie comes along. I was like, okay, she's not going to last 5 seconds, right? And she just kept calling. She was like, Keith, look, I just need you to do it for this price. I'm going to give you some business. And I'm like, I've heard that 1,000,000 times, right? And she just kept calling and calling. I'm like, oh my God. And the funny thing about it is my real estate client base used to be super wide. I'm servicing all these. Carrie was giving me so much business, I had to start scaling it back. I was like,
and charging more.
And charging more.
There you go.
Right? I mean, Carrie definitely takes care of me, so I want to say that. But the interesting thing about our whole relationship is it set the bar for the kind of agent that I wanted to work with. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. So, yeah, you can't judge a book by its cover. And I'm glad I really didn't. But Carrie, you did say all the right things too. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Well, this just became the Carrie Love Fest.
we love Carrie.
We're just speaking truth into the universe.
Well, I mean, and that's testament to all of your clients, past, present, and future.
Right.
There's a reason why they want to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just keep doing what you're doing.
Hey.
Yeah.
Not a problem there. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, Guy.
Sure. Oh, my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Guy.
Same. And Guy, how can the listeners out there find you if they want to find you or find out what Island Living is about?
Island Living, yeah, just a cute little island off the coast of Oakland. So you can always Google me or the website Guy Blume. I'm the guy named Guy, the realtor guy, and Blume like Judy Blume, BLUME, and the website is ilovealameda.com.
That's easy to remember.
Excellent.
All right. And then as far as you guys out there, please make sure to like this podcast. Please download, listen all the way through, leave comments, do anything you can do to help our ratings, because the more our ratings go up, the better content we can bring to you. And give us feedback. And if there's any particular subjects you want us to bring, just reach out. We will listen to you, because this is for you guys. It's fun for us, but this is for you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Keith.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Guy.
Thank you. It has been the Carrie and Keith Show, the live podcast, coming to you live from Alameda, California.